kick us off.
Hi, Critch.
Hello.
How are things looking going into the last game of the season?
Looking good. We had when I say an off week, we did play a game on the weekend to prepare, a friendly, but we've had a 2 good week preparation now since Austin to prepare for RSL. It's been good. We've had really good energy, good intensity to finish the season strong for these guys. So I've said this a few times now, I give these boys a lot of credit in how they've prepared themselves Monday to Friday for many, many weeks. And hopefully we show up with a big performance for the last game for our fans.
I saw you walking around with Songbin before practice. What's his condition? I assume he didn't practice.
He'll get a little bit of recovery in today, kind of by himself, just to get the body moving. Got back yesterday. So, that was just a conversation to ask him how his experience was. Just to have a little chat with him more as a coach to the person, not to the player. Just to see how he feels. He feels good. His body feels good. So the plan will be to bring him into our training environment tomorrow with the team, see how he does, and then I'll make a decision.
So he could potentially start, or is that?
Potentially. Not gonna say yes or no. It's still too early to determine those types of decisions right now. But he's come back healthy. He's come back injury-free. So he'll be in contention.
It sounds like, and how's Mackay? It sounds like he had a long trip back from Spain.
Yeah, similar. I was able to see Mackay on the way out of training, and I think he said he got to bed last night very early, slept many hours. So he's in the same situation as Sangbin. We're going to train these guys just after the team training right now. Hopefully they get through that session okay, get some good rest tonight, and same as Sangbin, he'll be in training tomorrow as well with the team.
Justin.
Coach, kind of along those same lines, when you are thinking about the roster for Saturday, how much calculus do you put into City 2's playoff match on Sunday, and how does that factor into who gets minutes and maybe who doesn't see as much time because they want to be available on Sunday?
Yeah, we've had discussions as a staff, myself and Coach Hackworth. We all know the priority is the first team and making sure we have a solid performance on Saturday night. But you be mindful of those situations and then moments as well that some guys might also play on the Sunday for the playoff team. But the focus and the goal is to put the strongest 11 on the field for Saturday night.
If you think back to when you took over this team mid-season and like your goal going into the last game of the year, like do you feel like you're on the right track, and what needs to happen on Saturday to feel like you've kind of been successful in taking it over?
Yeah, I think to answer the first part of the question, 100% we're on the right track. These guys have grown tremendously off the field as a group. On the field, I think we've all seen really good performances. We've seen some results now also tie into that in the last 4 or 5 games as well. So I do believe this group of players is going in the right direction. What we need to see on Saturday is an excellent performance. Again, we seem to be, we've showed up as of late. We've attacked well. We've defended well. I expect a big performance from these guys at home for the final game of the season. I think they're all very prepared for that opportunity as well. So we want to see a solid performance, but also we want to see a result as well. And our objective is very clear. We want to get 3 points.
That Real Salt Lake is kind of playing for their season on the line almost. Does that help just raise the level of knowing that you need to bring your A game because they are?
I think so. I mean, again, we have these guys hold themselves very accountable. We hold them very accountable, but we can play with, freedom as well within that. They'll be playing under immense pressure. This is a massive game for them. They have to go in. I think they're on 40 points if I've looked right. So they have to come in and try and win the football game against us. That'll leave us to some of our strengths, which is open spaces and transition moments. And then if they sit back and they sit deep, this is what these guys have got better at, is playing with the ball, building up through the thirds with control of the ball. So whatever their game plan is, we'll have a game plan ourselves to counteract it. And I'm feeling very confident.
Coach, I know a lot of old school St. Louis soccer guys. I've talked to them. The question I ask every one of them, should Coach Critchley be coach next year? To a man or woman, everybody's answer has been yes. How do you respond to that?
I mean, that makes me extremely grateful and happy to hear that. I think having the support from the fans, from the supporters, from the community, from the legends that they are, means a lot to me. So, what I can say is I've tried my absolute best for several months now with this team. I'm very, very confident that I've got them going in the right direction. And I'm very happy that other people outside the walls of the facility are seeing that as well.
So the thing they mention most, these folks mention most, is how you got the team back. How did you get the team back?
I think my first step when I took over was to make sure that Monday to Friday and the culture was the most important thing I'd focus on. So how do we train with intensity while enjoying ourselves? How do we hold ourselves to high standards? How do we bounce back after a difficult moment or a defeat? You know, these types of situations, when you think about a winning culture, was the first priority. And then what I think you've seen is, I said to myself from the footballing side, where did we need to improve? Well, we needed to score many, many goals to win football games. So we started to do that. I've lost track of the numbers, what I've scored as not me, the team scored since I've stepped in. But we showed that we could be very good as an attacking team. We scored lots of goals, but I said this before, we still were losing football games. So we started to then focus on step 3, which was the defending aspect and how are we really difficult to play against. How do we make it really tough on opponents to break us down, to score goals? That's improved week by week by week. I've also said that we're in a good place right now as a team, but our standards and expectations will get higher as we move into the following season. We have to get better. So that was the reason why I think we've seen growth from the team is we got the culture right, we got the football inside right. When you put both together, you get some success.
We'll go to Jeremy.
We're coming off of an international break. As someone who's managed at multiple levels now within the MLS and within the United States, I'm curious, how do you assess the state of the game in the U.S. with the World Cup coming up next year and in terms of where we are as a country with football?
First of all, from a standpoint of hosting it, I think it's very exciting for US football in general. You know, to have the world come in and see the facilities here, see the resources of what US soccer is putting into soccer here is phenomenal. So it's going to be a celebration. It's going to be very, very exciting. I think, yeah, they're going in the right direction. I know results haven't always gone as smooth for them, but the biggest thing is that I feel like the coach has put in a process. These guys are starting to believe in that process now. And that's the most important thing as you prepare for a major tournament. So hopefully they have some good success here, because what I think it'll do for the US national team itself is build confidence, but also it'll build a massive sense of uplifting for the communities around in the US.
We'll finish with Tom.
I didn't see, Kessler wasn't out there. Did he eventually come out, or what's his situation?
Just monitoring Kess. So there's no situation right now where we felt like we needed to push him in today's training. Today's design of the training was to be light, to get the guys kind of out there, focusing on some positional work. But he went through a tough 2 days. We wanted to give him a little bit of a rest right now, hopefully in preparation for the weekend.
Considering how close you guys are going to come to a playoff spot, did a turnaround take longer than you thought it might? Or could it have happened more quickly? Or was it dependent on guys coming back from injuries and transfer windows and things like that?
Yeah, I think when I stepped in, I knew what situation I was stepping into. I was stepping into a group that I think wanted change, needed change. Again, in two areas, the Monday to Friday and also the football inside as well. That takes a lot of time. So that was what I was expecting to step into. But then there's unexpected moments. There's all of the injuries that we occurred when I first stepped in. You know, I increased the intensity in training a lot because that's what you need to do. There were some casualties within that. There was a couple of injuries that we had to get along with as well. I think, again, in my first half of the season, we had multiple injuries in positions of centre-backs and sixers in them areas where they're the spine of the team. So I had to deal with some expected situations as well. It does take time. I've always said when you have a preseason, you know, you focus for 6, 7, 8 weeks on your philosophy, on your standards, your expectations, and I'll use this word without the distraction of games. You know, you use preseason as friendlies to work on that. You know, so when I stepped in and it was the game 72 hours later, and then it's recovery and game, and you're just in this cycle, you have to take small steps forward all the time, but you'll expect to take a step backwards with these unforeseen situations of injuries and whatnot. So I think, again, there was many games when I go back and analyse in the off-season I know you said we missed the playoffs by several points. There'll be many games where I go back and analyse and say, you know, if we would have played that game 6 weeks later, we would have scored that goal. We would have blocked that shot. You know, we would have done different things with time. But I think they're going in the right direction, and that's the most important thing. Yes, we missed out this season on the playoffs, but I think 2026 is going to be super exciting for this team.
Critch, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Hi, Roman.
Hello.
As the season comes to an end, is the way the team's playing now? I mean, how do you feel about how the team is playing now? I guess I'll put it that way.
I definitely see like improvement, a lot of improvement. I think what Critch mentioned before, that it wasn't easy when he stepped in, but like he said, we wanted to change something. We wanted to change the trainings. We wanted to change how we play on the weekends, and I think we changed a lot. We won away games now, I think 2 in a row, and it's just like a sign that it needs time, but we are on the right track. So I'm very positive about the whole improvement that we made.
If you guys had 7 more points, you'd be playing for a playoff spot on Saturday, and much of that's because of the way you guys have played lately. Does that going to make this offseason tougher to think, gosh, had we done more in those games, because there are certainly all those games in which you gave away points when you were ahead. Is that going to make the offseason sting more, or is it encouraging to finish the way you finished?
No, I mean, I think we should now look forward. You know, like what happened in the past is in the past. You know, we can't change it. It's the way it is. Obviously, it's disappointing for the whole club that we missed playoffs now 2 years in a row. But like you said, like we improved, and the way we played was way better than how we started, and maybe also how we played the last 2 years. So I'm looking positive into the future, and also the off season. Like it's going to be time to already work for next season and be ready when we start over again.
You sound like you're optimistic about there being a next season for you. Is there any clarity on your future?
I'm definitely not retiring, so there's definitely going to be a next season for me. Yeah.
Is there a next season in St. Louis?
Yeah, look, it's a difficult situation. We have so many open positions that had to be filled. So it's complicated, and I totally understand that there are positions that are more important than a player position at the moment. So I can't give you more information at the moment.
Dustin.
I mean, kind of on that front, knowing that there is some uncertainty to next year, to have this final match at home in front of the fans, what does that mean in this moment to send them home with one more performance?
Yeah, I mean, it's a last game, you know, like I think a lot of players are not, do not know if they're going to be here next season, you know, so I think it's again like an opportunity to give something back to the fans for their support, how they supported us through the whole year, even though it was a disappointing season again, but they were always there. So I think it's one more chance to just gather all your energy and bring it on the field on Saturday.
You kind of mentioned it in the earlier answer, but Critchley was talking about just the culture of this team needing to kind of be in a different spot now here at the end of the year. Do you feel like that work has been done, and coming into the last game that the culture is where it needs to be?
It's not where it needs to be, but I think it's also difficult to change it middle of the season or during a season. You know, like that's usually has to be like these standards had to be set like before in the preseason. That's why you go to camps, you know, and spend a lot of time with each other. And that's also something we have to adapt. I think we are on the right track, but there's still a lot of work to be done to having a right mentality or a culture that you can rely on and that is going to help winning you games.
all those folks that I mentioned when I asked Critch about his situation apply to you too, because everybody I talk to wants you back in goal next year. Just to get that out of the way. You've been here now 4 years in America.
Yeah.
What are the biggest things that you've noticed that maybe that you didn't expect, maybe that you did expect, just like things that surprised you, whatever your take is on that?
I'm definitely positive, or I was definitely very positively surprised by the level of that we have in MLS. Obviously, it improved even more over the years I've been here now, with players coming to this league that have high quality players, and I think if the league keeps adapting and with the MLS, with the rules, if they adjust these rules a little bit, I think the level of and quality levels of quality players, they could rise immense. You know, like this league has everything to be a top league. It just need to be done the right way, and I hope the MLS is gonna make the right decisions for the future.
So you definitely think that there's a major increase in the level of competition each year you've been here?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not like the way we played. The first year we won our conference, right? And then the next season we started basically almost with the same team, but we ended up somewhere at the bottom, you know, like, so that means every other team made maybe better improvements to the team, or had better ideas or a better game plan, you know, so they improved. And so that means a lot, you know, that you see last year Galaxy won the whole thing, and this year they're also playing at the bottom. They have basically the same, almost the same team, but other teams improved, and that's a big plus for the MLS, that teams are adapting and improving a lot in a short period of time, in a short off season, or in the off season they add good players, and not only players that are good with the ball. So I would also say like characters, you know, the right mentality players to the team, and that's impressive.
Is that a surprise?
It is, yeah. I think it is. It is like, you know, to handle that quick after a season, and you have immediately, you need to, like I said, with the rules, you have a certain time that the club is allowed to talk to other players and all that, you know, makes it difficult to improve your team. And so I think that's a very positive surprise.
We'll go to Jeremy.
Roman, you talked about the uncertainty given your contract situation. I'm curious, if it ends up being your last game in St. Louis, what do you take from your time with the club?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking back at, if I start at the beginning, you know, like City 2, it was an experience for me. Was a lot of fun, you know, coming in and getting to know all the players. Yeah, the whole away trips and everything, you know, it's a little bit different than what I was used to, but it was an experience, and it's very nice. So I'm very thankful for St. Louis, for everything they've done, you know, and also the trust that they gave me, and so it's nothing but positive for St. Louis, you know. So yeah.
Tom?
Would you like to talk about rules changes? Would you like to see MLS go to a European schedule?
I would love that. I would love that for the big talents we have here in the league. Because so oftentimes, I think just one example that stuck in my mind is when Vasquez wanted to join Borussia Mönchengladbach when he was in Cincinnati. But I think Cincinnati said, no, we are not giving you because we are in the middle of the season. Mm-hmm. So it will make life way easier also for top players and talents, U.S. national team players, to make the next step and go to Europe, you know, to a big club, and not having to, oh yeah, but the club doesn't let me go because we're in the middle of the season. And in Europe, the big leagues start the season in summer. So obviously they're not making changes or trying to trade for players that are when they are in the middle of the season, you know, but they also different windows and everything. So I would love it. And I think the quality would increase again. with a little break in the summer too, because the way it is now, it's very hard to play every game without a real break, or maybe one bye week that we have is yeah, it's hard.
And you wouldn't have had things like the off week last week at this point in the season. And
At this point, I think it's the second time in a row that we have a bye week,
yeah.
1 week before the last game or whatever, and it's a little bit unfortunate. So yeah, but it is what it is, and we have to deal with it. And yeah.
But if you've been here in the winter, though, you've been here in December. It depends how long of a winter break they would take. We can get cold here.
Yeah, but it's cold for everyone, no? So, I mean, it's not only cold for me or for St. Louis. It's cold for Colorado as well, and, you know, for Salt Lake. So I think that's just something that you have to get used to, you know? Like, even if we start our season in February, I remember one game against San Jose, I think it was first year or second year, my gloves it was ice on my gloves because they watered the grass, and my gloves were wet. There was ice things on my gloves. So I think it can't get worse than that. And I remember the Salt Lake City against LA FC. They played in pure snow. You couldn't see the field or whatever, and they kept playing. So I don't know what's holding them back for making the change.
Is this a tough game to play? Just this last one, season's over. People are unsure about their future. Is this a tough game to get up for?
Yeah, I think it's a tough game because like I said, a lot of players don't really know what the future holds for them. You know, like you go into a game, and obviously you try to give your best, to perform, and to give something back to the fans. I think that's the most important thing. We struggled in doing that the past few weeks at home, but I think, yeah, it's going to be a great atmosphere once again, and we'll give our best.
Thanks, Roman.
Roman, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Cash.